Welcome back to Room for Horror. Tonight, we leave behind haunted houses and restless spirits. Instead, we explore a story inspired by real reports from a strange site in the United States, a place where the laws of nature seem to twist and bend, and where what you see isn't always what's real. Though the characters and events you'll hear are reimagined, the mystery itself is very real. This is the story of Ash Hollow, where reality unravels. Ash Hollow looked ordinary from a distance, a thin ribbon of two-lane that cut through scrub and oak, the kind of remote patch of Oregon that tourists only notice because of postcards. Up close, however, the place was different in subtle ways. Telephone poles leaned in odd directions. The trees seemed to stand at angles that made your eyes search for a horizon that wasn't there. Locals called the tract forbidden ground. They said horses refused to cross it. Miners spoke of the land as if it were a sleeping machine, one you did not wake. The patch of oddness had an origin story the way old houses do. The miners' assay shack that everyone said had slid and settled at an impossible tilt. In the 1910s, a prospector named McCall found the little shack and insisted it had sunk against the grain of the earth. Later, a Scottish engineer who'd moved west cataloged the place, calling the effects a region where your eyes and your balance start to argue. The place opened to tourists in the 1930s, with guides who happily demonstrated the tricks: a broom that balanced upright without help, a golf ball that rolled the wrong way up a slope, two people whose apparent heights swapped when they stood a few feet apart. Over time, the place picked up a proper name: the House of Mystery at Ash Hollow. The official line sold the wonder as attraction, but many visitors didn't leave feeling amused. They left feeling unsettled. Most accounts of the Hollow's phenomena resist the simple label ghost. There were no moans from attics, no faces trapped in mirrors. Instead, the place produced a quieter, stranger horror. It messed with how people saw and felt the world. Standing at one point on the ground might make you see your friend shrink. Stepping 6 feet to the left, the same person could look twice their size. Rolling balls and staircases that refused to obey gravity were fun for tourists. But those who stayed longer said the feeling went beyond illusion. It felt like reality itself was slipping. Skeptics have long argued that Ash Hollow and other mystery spots are optical illusions, clever camera angles and tilted rooms that fool the brain. Magicians and scientists have recreated the same effects in labs. James Randi, the famous illusionist, once explained most of them as forced perspective. But even Randi admitted that what people felt outdoors, the sense of the world tilting under you, was harder to dismiss. If you wanted to understand Ash Hollow, you would need a protagonist who believed in science, but still wanted to see for herself. That person was Claire Hale, a perceptual psychologist, someone who studied how the brain interprets space and balance. Claire was calm, rational, and obsessed with detail. She didn't believe in ghosts. She believed that the mind could be fooled, and she went to Ash Hollow to see what the land could teach her about that. Claire arrived in late October, the trees bleaching and the air smelling faintly of wet leaves. She booked the one modest cabin near the hollow, loaded a notebook into her bag, and brought simple tools: a tape measure, a level, and a handheld spirit level more for curiosity than belief. Her plan was simple: measure what she could see, record what she couldn't. On the first day, everything behaved normally. But then she noticed how the place felt, not in a way she could write down, but in her knees, in her sense of direction. The air felt off balance, like standing in a room tilted just enough to make your body adjust without you realizing. She wrote in her notes, It feels like the world here has a different center of gravity. The Hollow's guides loved to put on a show. On her first afternoon, Claire watched a guide call two tourists, one tall, one short, and have them stand on opposite sides of a faint white line painted into the dirt. From where Claire stood, the tall man towered over the short one, but when they swapped places, their heights seemed to reverse. Gasps, laughter, a camera flash or two. Later, Claire ran her own test. She measured everything, filmed it, even aligned the horizon carefully. The camera confirmed what her eyes saw. It was a clever optical trick, forced perspective. The illusion could be explained, but something still didn't sit right. The volunteers said they felt strange. One woman said the ground seemed to push behind her knees. Another said the sky tilted when she blinked. These weren't tricks. They were physical sensations. Illusions could fool your eyes, but this place fooled your body. On her third day, Claire stayed late. The sun was gone, and the gift shop lights flickered off. She set up a marble on a sloped board. By every map, that slope went downhill. She hit record. The marble rolled uphill. She checked the camera, her instruments, the ground. Everything said the same thing. It shouldn't have been possible. She repeated it with other objects. Some obeyed gravity, others didn't. It was as if the rules of the world flickered on and off. Her notes grew shorter, more uncertain. "Something inconsistent here," she wrote. "Not illusion. Something real pretending to be illusion." One night, Claire spoke with an old man from the valley. He told her that long before the tourists came, people avoided the land. Hunters said their arrows missed. Children wandered off and came back dazed. The land, he said, was alive in its own way. Claire wanted proof, names, dates, records. The man only shook his head. "You don't measure something like this," he said. "You feel it." That night, she dreamed of walking a path that folded back into itself. In the morning, she felt shorter somehow, not physically, but like something had compressed inside her. On a bright, cold morning, a man arrived in a battered sedan. He introduced himself as Daniel Pike, a documentary filmmaker chasing roadside oddities. He'd read the brochures, and more importantly, he'd read about people who left different. Unlike most tourists, Daniel said he wanted to stay overnight and record whatever made this place tick. Claire was skeptical. Professionals often saw what they wanted to see, but she allowed him into a joint experiment. Claire would maintain instruments. Daniel would film. They placed a row of identical rods at intervals across a stretch of land where guides said heights shifted. In daylight, the rods appeared aligned. As the sun sank, the rods seemed to bend. Daniel's camera caught faint waves of heat that shimmered around them. Subtle, but impossible to explain. Later, when they showed the footage to a small audience at the cabin, a young girl went pale, then bolted outside to throw up. Afterwards, she said softly, "The ground tried to pull me down." She could not explain what she had felt beyond that single sentence, and yet, everyone in the room felt colder. Daniel recorded the line in his small, battered notebook with a finger that trembled. Claire tried to stay objective, but by the end of the week, something shifted. She caught herself tilting her head, bracing her legs when standing still. Her dreams replayed the hollow. Even outside it, rooms felt off-angle. Her journal changed tone. It stopped reading like data and started reading like confession. The land breathes differently. The horizon doesn't hold still. My body argues with my eyes. She did not realize she had stopped calling the phenomenon an illusion. She had started calling it an event. Back in the lab, her footage confused everyone. The crooked house could be explained, but the outdoor distortions? Not easily. A physicist friend mentioned small gravitational differences, tiny shifts in the Earth's mass that could change balance ever so slightly. Another said maybe it was all the brain's way of correcting mismatched signals. None of it felt right. Claire realized science could explain the mechanics, but not the feeling, that deep physical wrongness the hollow left behind. Claire and Daniel decided on one last test, a night inside the hollow. They set up cameras, sensors, and monitors. At one point, the footage caught a volunteer standing still, then slowly leaning forward, like gravity had tilted only for him. The sensors showed nothing unusual, but the video captured the same strange shimmer, flickering for just 2 seconds before fading away. The volunteers described the same thing in their reports. It felt like the world shifted sideways, like something moved, not around me, but through me. No experiment is complete without an incident. For Claire, it arrived in the form of a child who wandered into the hollow one afternoon with his dog. He rolled a toy car down a slope, and it rolled uphill. He laughed and did it again. Then the dog barked once and bolted. When the mother found the boy, one of his shoes sat several feet away, placed neatly. When she asked what happened, he said, "It's funny. The ground wanted me to move." It was innocent, but it stayed with Claire longer than all her data. Claire left Ash Hollow in late autumn with stacks of notes and footage that proved nothing and everything. Her published paper called the site a complex interaction of topography, perspective, and human perceptual frameworks. It sounded safe, but for the people who visited, something about the place clung to them. Some said the land left a residue, an aftertaste in your balance, a sense of being marginally wrong in ordinary rooms. Others returned for the thrill and left with nothing but a photograph. The Hollow, like many such places, refused to choose a single reality. In the decades that followed, the House of Mystery changed hands, became a roadside attraction, and changed back into rumor. It figured in culture, in conspiracy threads, and in television shows. And still, the town maintained a mix of pride and discomfort. Some residents embraced the visitors and the small commerce they brought. Others carried an old warning in their pocket that the land was old and should be treated respectfully. We do not end this story with a bang. There is no final battle, no monster vanquished, just a place that refuses to behave. Claire still tilts her head in certain rooms. Daniel still swears he sees flickers in old footage he never edited. Maybe it's all tricks. Or maybe in some quiet corner of Oregon, the world is still folding in on itself, waiting for the next person to notice. Thank you for joining us on Room for Horror. Ash Hollow may sound like a roadside attraction, but those who've been there know it's something deeper. If you ever find yourself in a place where your eyes and body disagree, step lightly. Some parts of this earth remember more than they should. If you enjoyed tonight's story, subscribe and hit the bell. Tell us in the comments, would you go to the Hollow? Would you stay the night? And if you have your own strange place story, share it below. We might tell it next.